Hey, what's up everybody? It's BB Outdoors, and today I'm going to walk you through the Livescope setup that I just got set up on my Nucanoe Unlimited. Alright, before we continue the video, quick note here. I got this Nucanoe Unlimited from Brian Tacey at Strictly Sail and Kayak in Blue Ash, Ohio. That's where you need to go. If you want a sick kayak like mine, if you're in the greater Cincinnati area, Strictly Sail and Kayak is the only place where you're going to be totally satisfied with their stock, their selection, their customer service, the rigging. Everything that they have is awesome. They help put on our tournament league. So quick, huge shout out to Strictly Sail and Kayak. That's where you want to go if you want to get a cool kayak like mine. Back to the video. So here we are on a very somewhat cold and very windy day out on East Fork, William Herschel Lake. I was just out here fishing for crappie a little bit ago. That was my last video, and thank you for everyone who watched that. That video did super well. Now let me walk you through a little bit. For those of you who watched my previous videos and saw the way that I had my kayak set up, you would know that I had two Garmin 73 SVs, the old UHD model, mounted right here. I sold both of those, put the money to getting a Garmin EchoMap UHD 2 93 SV, which is what this is, and it's on a RAM mount. Super cool fish finder. I haven't had the chance to use it yet, but I'm going to walk you through basically everything I've done to get this Livescope functional. I have not tried it out yet, and then we're going to go down to the lake right there and get the settings dialed in and try it out for the first time on some big old crappie here at East Fork, if I can find them. The wind forced me to go to a different spot than I normally go to, and I'm going to have to be using that Livescope a little bit looking for crappie, but I'm figuring we go for some flooded timber and try there. But let me walk through the setup here so I can show you guys exactly what I've done. So first and foremost, like I said, RAM ball mount here onto the 93 SV. I have a Sonar Shield sun visor just to keep the sun off the screen so you can see a little bit better, manage your brightness. Obviously today it's not a big deal as far as the sun is concerned, but for those hot summer tournament days, July, August, the sun was beaten down. It's always good to have a little bit clearer view of the sonar screen. So starting with the pole, this is a Yak Gadget. I believe it's called a Quickscope pole, not a power pole, but it mounts right onto this track. Well, it'll mount onto any track, but this is very important for the Nucanoe Unlimited. If you're planning on running this specific Livescope pole, I would highly recommend getting the Yak Gadget Unlimited rail extender. So instead of using this rail, brings it up maybe 4 inches to this rail up here, and then it goes off this side of my gunnel, because my only other option would be to use this rail, which is not big enough to hold both the fish finder and the pole mount and the, I guess you would say, the stager, the holder here. So now that I got that set up, you can see where it's pointing here. That's where the transducer points. You run the pole all the way down to the LVS 32. I did get the older model transducer here, and I just attached that. It was kind of a bear to get this mounting bracket, to get the transducer mounted on this plate, and I can do a separate video showing how I did that, but I did manage to get it all done, mounted. What was that? You headed out, you coming in? I'm heading in. You going out? I was going to this afternoon. Nice. Well, should be pretty good. I'm low pressure. I'm thinking it'd be all right. Yeah. Good luck, man. Thank you. You too. Okay, that was pretty cool. So drilled a 1.5 inch diameter hole with a hole saw in. This is just like a really hard plastic. Ran the transducer cable up and out right here. And before I move on for my LVS 32 transducer, I did kind of lose my train of thought there. It is an older model. I did buy it used. Hopefully it's functioning fine. We're about to find out. And then I have this just neoprene cover for transport. The only other modification that I did to this besides drilling the holes is I did wrap around some Gorilla Tape right here, and the reason for that is because this stager that I mentioned earlier, it's once you add the transducer, right, the weight, this is not tight enough to hold it in place. So in addition to these Velcro straps, which I took off of a Nucanoe Yak Attack black pack, the rod holders on it, I attached those so I could keep this stationary, but the Gorilla Tape also gives it a big enough diameter to where the stager holds it very tight and it's not going to fly off while I'm driving or, you know, deploy accidentally, get hit by a tire or something. So moving on, the wires. So this wire obviously is my transducer wire, and then this is all the wires that go into the fish finder itself. All of them have a wire cover on them. That's an upgrade that I made for this year. You know, I could see hooks possibly getting stuck on it. It may not be the best idea in the world, but you know, it looks nice, and it'll keep them protected from sun damage and any other cuts or nicks that the wires might get. The transducer wire from the actual GT56 transducer run along the gunnel into the black pack, or sorry, this is not a black pack, this is a Nucanoe gear pod. They run into the gear pod and then out into the unit. I'm getting a different through-hole kit for this. Right now it's just taped down so no water gets inside, but this goes into the gear pod, and I need to deploy my trolling motor very quickly to show you guys how this is all mounted, because I can't open the gear pod while the trolling motor is stowed. Alright, now that we have the gear pod open, I can walk you through a little bit of what I did in here. So I have a 50 amp hour battery. It is just, you know, a cheaper lithium battery from Amazon, but I've actually had pretty good luck with them in the past, so I think to run my electronics it should be more than enough. The transducer for the LVS32 runs into this GLS10, and then I have the Yak Power switching system right here, and that powers my lights, my sonar, and the GLS10, because it does take its own separate power supply. And that is all connected in here, wire stowed. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go over as far as how I set it up. Obviously there's things that I'm going to improve here, but the goal of today is to get the settings dialed in, try it out. I've never used Livescope before, and I want to see how it works on my Nucanoe Unlimited. So we are going to get everything ready and prepped and hit the water. I do apologize, it's probably going to be a little windy. I'll do what I can to minimize that. I'm probably going to try to get into a cove here, fish some timber. Hopefully the wind won't be bad, but it is a little cold and it is windy. Okay, moment of truth. First time it's going in the water. Let's turn it on. One, an S. S is the GLS10. And then we're going to take off the cover. Take off the bungees. And drop her in the water. Alright, the Livescope is in the transducers in the water. Now we wait for the Garmin to power up. Run through its cycles. I do agree. And let's go to Livescope. Okay, so we do have something. So that's 40 feet out, which is, I'm looking at those trees. You can see where this arrow on top of here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but this arrow is pointing at those trees over there, and that's what I'm seeing, is those trees right there. So let's get a little closer, and I'm going to mess around with these settings and see if I can get a clearer image. So right away, switching my depth to auto made a huge difference. I can see all sorts of fish right down there where I'm pointing. So that's those trees over there. And I'm going to do a little bit more messing, but I just wanted to show you changing the depth range to auto so I can see the exact contour of the bottom rather than a fixed bottom. Immediately made a look at all those fish on that tree. That's what we're going for today. That is awesome. Alright, I think we got it set up here pretty perfectly. So let's get up on a tree over here. I'm in 40 feet of water, so it's pretty deep. I want to get a little closer. So there's a bunch of flooded timber. Let's that you can see a ton of crappie right there. It looks like they're right under me. So let's get the first drop down with these jigs and see if I can see these little crappie jigs down there. So these crappie jigs, these are Crappie Master heads. I have a bunch of different random mismatch heads today. And my favorite color, as always with crappie, is the monkey milk color from Bobby Garland. So let's see how these crappie react to this jig going down, if I can see it. Alright, so I don't see my jig yet. Wonder if I turn my gain up, if I'd be able to see my jig a little better. Yeah, there's my jig right there. I wish you guys could get a little bit of a clear image, but you can see my two little jigs whenever I bounce them up and down. Oh, there's one. First fish of the day coming up. I watched him eat a little bit. And it's a big, big white crappie. How about that? Light bite. I didn't really feel it, but I could see it on the Livescope. That is pretty sweet. That's definitely 9 inches, so big enough to keep. But a white crappie, species I already have. Black crappie will be a new species today. But that was actually really cool watching that crappie come up and eat that jig on Livescope. He's looking at it. There we go. Watched him get that. There's another one. Watched him come up and take a long look at it before he took it. I don't know how well that came across on the video. And there he goes, right back down there, right back down to the bottom. That is so cool. Let's put another one down there, so hopefully you guys can have a good view of this here. So there's my jig. There's two that I'm bouncing up and down right there. And there's a crappie, right? He's looking at it. Just hold it right in front of his face. Oh, that was cool. And that's a big mark too. Oh, it's a huge crappie. That was a big mark. That was actually super sweet. So did you guys watch me just hold that right in front of him and he came up and got it? Man, this Livescope, I get, you know, okay, the whole reason why I got this, right, is because during bass tournaments, I can't keep fishing against guys with Livescope when I don't have it, because it is such a huge disadvantage and I can't, you know, it's not almost not a fair competition. So I wanted to get it for that reason. But man, that is so fun just holding. I wouldn't have had any idea there was a bunch of fish on this tree here, first of all. Second of all, I wouldn't have any idea that that fish was actually going and looking straight up at it. Man, that is sweet. I'm so glad I did this. This was definitely worth it. Okay, so two jigs, my two jigs right there. I had more fish coming up, looking at it. They're on top of it. Got him right again. Oh my gosh, that is cool. Now that I got this a little figured out, man, that is so cool, man. All right, so you see those marks right there, and my jig just dropped right into them. Looks like that one's gonna come over and be interested in it. That looks like a pretty big mark. Got him. Well, swam right over to it. Oh, that is a nice one. That is a nice one. Watched him come up and get it. That I hate saying, you know, like, oh, that's so cool, because I know that's probably sounding like a broken record by now, but that is the coolest thing ever. Being able to sit out here. I mean, I'm in the middle of, you know, I know there's trees around me because there's trees right over there, but I mean, I would never know the amount of fish and the amount of submerged timber right underneath me, and I can literally pick a fish and target it, and that is so cool. Whew. It is cold and I'm ready to go home. Late January, out on the water, especially a windy. It's about to get a lot colder. We're about to get a lot of snow, but today is not a picnic by any means. Thoughts about today's fishing session out here. So the Livescope, the setup, I did everything well enough that it works, right? All the cables are connected the right way, the power, no issues there. Everything seems to be working good. The install is a success. Trying it out first time, I am blown away by how this revolutionizes the fishing, right? You guys saw me pick out specific marks on this Livescope, drop a jig right down, watch them eat it, watch them come up to it, turn, decide they don't want it, and go the other way. That, in and of itself, unbelievably cool, and I can't wait to see how it translates to bass fishing with jigs, drop shot. I see why guys, you know, jig that minnow right in front of a bass's face, because you can see exactly how they're reacting to it. Anything offshore, finesse, even like crankbaits or jackhammers, I can see this coming in handy in a major way in my fishing tournaments. Things that took a little bit of getting used to. If you look at the screen, right, it takes a little bit of getting used to realize that right is not right, left is not left, right? You can only do that by changing the perspective and turning the pole. So if a fish is to the left of your bait, it's closer, and if it's to the right of your bait, it's farther away, right? So you really need to work on like how close it is to the actual transducer to determine where to actually put your bait. That's what makes a big difference. So just getting that in your mind, right? Like, okay, well, how is this oriented? Where's my bait? And moving it and putting it where it needs to be. That took a little bit of getting used to. So that might be, you know, the thing that I need to work on the most in order to really make the most of this system. But besides that, unbelievably useful. So out of pocket, you know, this is about $1,500 for the transducer. I sold my other fish finders to get this fish finder. I think it's well worth it, and when it comes to tournaments, I think it'll pay for itself. Just not being at that disadvantage of not having live sonar compared to the guys that do. Unbelievable benefit. I'm glad I was able to get out here today. We caught some crappie. I didn't take any home today. I have plenty of meat and fish in the freezer, but I just had a wonderful time for the hour and a half, 2 hours I was out here. And thank you guys for watching. If you have a Nucanoe Unlimited or any kayak and you are thinking about getting Livescope for it, it is complicated, but it's not as hard as you think. If you're willing to stomach the cost, I think it's an unbelievably useful upgrade for your system. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like this video, and subscribe. I love you guys watching my videos. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll catch you on the next one.